Hello everyone, welcome to our second podcast. I am Luke.
And I'm Gio.
Today we're going to talk about quite an interesting topic.
Yes, and that is pre-settlement inspection.
Before we start, Gio, tell me more about what you have been doing last week.
Well, I have been busy with my buyers. They wanted to do some private viewings in the city, and I did a pre-settlement inspection with you on Thursday.
That is correct.
And I'm going to ask you some question about that.
Go for it.
Yeah. So what is pre-settlement inspection and why is it so important?
Yeah, pre-settlement inspection usually is the last step of this whole sales process.
Yes.
So the purchaser has the opportunity to go back to the property to check all the chattels written on the sale and purchase agreement and make sure all those chattels are in working order. It is very important. If something is not right, then the purchaser has the opportunity to raise through the agent to the vendor and also allow the vendor has enough time to fix those issues.
Okay. And what happens if something is not working or taken away and the vendor doesn't even take responsibility for that?
I haven't seen anything being taken away, but quite often you might experience some chattels are not in the working order. So using our property as an example, so the extracted fan in the bathroom stopped working. It was working fine, right? In the marketing plan, in the marketing campaign, and it stopped working. So we need to record that and we need to communicate with the vendor to get that fixed. And sometimes it's not only inside of the property. Again, our case, one of the fans fell down after strong wind. So that means the vendor also need to fix the fence in the garden as well.
So you communicate everything with the vendor.
Correct.
And then if they want to fix, which they should fix, they do that. And if they don't want to, you escalate to the lawyer.
Yeah, that's right. So for us is we communicate between the purchaser and the vendor. We make sure both parties are on the same page. They're fully aware of what is not right, and the vendor has the opportunity to fix that as well. However, sometimes you also need to refer to the sale and purchase agreement. We have came across a few scenarios. Vendor purposely indicate all the chattels are in as is, where is the status. So in that circumstances, the basically property will be sold as the current conditions. It doesn't matter if it's working or not working, then the vendor doesn't have to fix those issues.
Okay. And what is the time frame of that inspection?
You mean like
how long before the settlement?
Okay. I usually take my buyer do the inspection about a week before settlement date, purely because you've got a good time frame there. If something is not right, then you've got time to communicate between the buyer and the vendor. You've got time to communicate with the lawyer if needed, and the vendor has the time to fix the issues as well.
Okay.
So try not to leave until the last minute. And that's something you also need to explain to the vendor as well, especially if they still living in the property. Try to make appointment to do the inspection earlier if you can.
Okay. And the inspection that we did, it took us around 2 hours. Why is it like this much?
2 hours is quite long for the inspection, but in our case, the settlement date is quite long after the auction. The purchaser requests a long settlement date and it's accepted by our vendor. So I can imagine, the purchaser hasn't been back to the property for almost 3 months. So for them, they need to check every single corner, and plus they are moving everything on a settlement date. So they need to make sure everything is in a nice conditions. So the purchaser did a very detailed inspection every corner, and also plug into most of the power socket to check all the power socket, which is quite interesting. Sometimes you don't see people bring a charger to plug into the power socket to test all the sockets, but in our case the purchaser did, and all the channels we went through the cooktop, oven, the dishwasher. We let it go for a cycle, so that took half an hour or even longer than that. 2 hours is quite long, but it's also a big house. So I'm sort of expecting their time.
So can the buyer bring their own inspector, like, I mean, electrician, builder, whatever?
Well, pre-settlement inspection, it's a slightly different is the building inspection. So during the building inspection, you bring a qualified inspector to do the things. With the pre-settlement inspections, you already purchased the property. You already accepted the conditions, stuff like that. So probably it's no point to bring a builder unless they want to do a renovation. Then they might bring a builder electrician. But the purpose for that is not actually to check if it's working or not. It's more give the purchaser an idea what they want to do after they settle. So I hardly to see a purchaser bring any electrician and builder through for just helping them to check inspection. But we quite often we see people bring other tradespeople in because they want to maybe do some measurements. They want to give some plans about renovation, stuff like that. Which just can happen.
So the length of the inspection, I think it depends on how big the house is, or what was the time frame of the settlement.
So if it's a small apartment, then I think half an hour, 45 minutes. But if it's a big house, usually an hour and a half in 2 hours.
And what happens after the pre-settlement inspection?
So as I mentioned, pre-settlement inspection, that's the last step of the whole sales process. If that's done or sorted, the last step is the settlement. So on the settlement date, the boss lawyer will basically complete all the settlement paperwork. As the agent, we will receive the key release confirmation from the vendor's solicitor, so we can release the key to the purchaser. And that's complete the whole sales process.
Perfect. So based on what I remember, I think I came to your open homes for that house a lot, and I saw so much competition and so many engagement and inquiries. Why do you think it got like that?
I think preparation and the presentation are the two factors, and they are very important, especially in the current market. So selling a property is not just put on the market. So we need to do a lot of things behind the scenes. As the agent, we want to work with the vendor to find out what's the best way to present the property to the public. In our situation, the vendor listened to our suggestion, replace the carpet and paint the entire property
house.
And move a lot of stuff to the storage locker, so make the property looks bigger, spacious and bright. On top of that, they invest the money on the staging, so that's even better. So when people coming to the open home or private viewings, they fall in love straight away because they see nice furniture and they can see where to put a couch, where to put a TV, and how big is the bed and how big is the bedroom.
They can imagine themselves living in there.
Correct. That's very important.
So how much did they invest and how much was the return?
I can't remember exactly, but I think our marketing is about $5,000. On top of that, the owner also pays the carpet replacement, painting, staging. So I would guess probably over $10,000. But the property was 1.3 million, so I think it's a good investment.
Because I remember it went up around 100K higher than their expectation.
That's correct.
It's all because of that.
Exactly.
Investing in marketing and renovation.
Exactly. Especially when the property is vacant. So the viewing access should be very easy, and you really want to make sure your property is presented very nicely. So when people walking, they feel it's their home, and those kind of engagement is very important.
Thank you for your information, Luke. It
Pleasure.
was very helpful, and I hope it's very helpful for our vendors, buyers, and anyone in the market.
That's right. If you are currently looking for a property, whether you are the buyers looking for investment or owner-occupied properties, or you are the vendor, have your property on the market for sale, or you are thinking of selling, hopefully the podcast to give you some advice.
Yes. Before we finish this podcast, I'm going to show you a little bit of staging and how it is important in presenting your property.
Thanks for watching and hope you enjoyed today's podcast. Make sure you follow and subscribe.
Please subscribe. So this is an apartment project, and that's how they did the staging. So when we bring buyers, they can imagine themselves living in here.